What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about the head coach for Kentucky, John Calipari, and how he's going to be or possibly offered a lifetime contract. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Stephen A., real quick. When I say lifetime contract in sports, what's the first thing you think of?
Lifetime contract in sports?
Do you recall who was offered a lifetime contract?
I don't recall, Max.
Magic Johnson.
Got it. 25 years. 25 years at $1 million.
Right. That's
basically
years, yeah. Dr. Jerry Buss, the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, the greatest owner by far in the history of American team sports, said Magic Johnson. Back then, it was unthinkable. $1 million a year for an NBA player for 25 years. Yeah.
So there's no way I'd put all my eggs in one basket and give a lifetime contract to a coach, because you never know what could happen in the future. Recruiting could go downhill with that coach. They can get suspended, have some type of NCAA violations to where they can't get certain amount of recruits. They can't make it to the playoff systems. Anything could happen. The coach can lose his passion to be playing within 5 years. You don't know what could happen. He can get so old and just not really care. Anything can happen. I would not put all my eggs in one basket and signing off a coach like that. No matter how good they are. You just don't do that. That's just not good business. The game could change. The style of play could change. And that coach may not want to play. He may be an old timer. It may not want to make adjustments to the way the game is played in a couple years. So there's no way I'd give anybody a lifetime contract. But let's keep going.
A lifetime contract. Oh my God. How would he have made? Would that have been a good deal for the Lakers? Yes or no? That would have been an amazing deal for the Lakers and a bad deal for Magic. When you identify someone you believe is special, obviously I'm sure there's a morality clause. If some great scandal happens, I'm sure he doesn't keep the contract, I would assume. But when you identify that special difference maker, these kind of things tend to look better for the team or the franchise or business that offers that difference maker.
That's the deal. If John Calipari wasn't producing, he wouldn't want to be there. So, I mean, if he's not producing, if he's not winning games, if he's not recruiting well, if he's not competitive, you won't have to worry about that lifetime contract because he'll be out the door because that's just the way he is.
Yeah, I know, and that's another issue. If, like I said, the program goes downhill, you never know what could happen. Programs they get top recruits, they have a dynasty, then the dynasties fall off and they have bad years. I bet you, if he signs a lifetime contract because everybody's happy with everything he's done in the past, I bet you give it 1 or 2 years of having some terrible years where they have just absolutely terrible teams. I bet you they will want to restructure that contract, and people will be calling for his head. So before you give somebody a lifetime contract, you really got to think that out, because you never know what could happen in the future. You never know what could happen. Like I said, that Kentucky basketball could go down the drain because of violations. The coach could stop caring. He could lose his passion. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. And to put all your eggs in one basket for on a coach like that, you just don't do it. I just not a good deal. So let's keep going.
He's too competitive. But Kentucky, the job is not for everyone. He is the perfect fit for Kentucky and the Big Blue Nation. You see, here's the deal. Not everyone can deal with the Big Blue Nation. You know, John Calipari, they're not a burden. They're his drug. He lives for them. He connects with them. He calls them crazy because, you know what? They are crazy, but he understands they're crazy. And their crazy is his motivation to what he does and what he's been able to do.
Yes, he's motivated. He's crazy now. But like I said, if people can lose their passion, they could just stop wanting to play. He might want to stop having to be on the road all the time to be recruiting, to have the pressure of winning. He just might get tired of it. And if you give him a lifetime contract, that's just not a good deal. That's just not a good deal. You want somebody to always keep the passion. And another thing is, people change when they know they can't be fired. Look at any major baseball players, football players, basketball players. They play their butt off during their contract year. But when they sign a new contract for 5 or 6, 7 years, those first couple years, they might be skating. They might not be going as hard as they probably should be going hard. So to lock down a coach, to give somebody a lifetime contract, that's just a little bit too much, because no matter what, that could probably change him, because he knows I will not get fired. I have a lifetime contract, so he can do whatever he wants to do. That's like a teacher, a professor that has tenure. They know they're not going anywhere, so the quality of production might drop. They know they have tenure. They know they're not going to get fired. So I don't know. I just would not put all my eggs in one basket for one coach. He's a great coach, but that's just doing too much. So let's keep going.
So to me, It's a perfect fit. And if all the people
Coach,
say, well, he used UCLA, he didn't use UCLA because I know for a fact John's had this deal on his desk. He's had this deal on his desk for over a month.
Coach, I got that, and I understand that, but with all due respect, you're being evasive. Because we're not talking about John Calipari. We know how great he is, even though he's only got one championship in 27 years as a head coach. The fact of the matter is...
And that would be another thing. He's a great coach and everything that's done, but only one national championship, only one, and you want to give him a lifetime contract? So I would say, in order to give somebody, a coach, a lifetime contract, I'm looking at multiple rings. Like maybe a Bill Belichick. He's got multiple rings, 6 rings. That's somebody you might want to lock down. And even still, I wouldn't give him a lifetime contract. And what about Greg Popovich? I would lock that coach down because he's got multiple rings. If there's anybody that deserves a lifetime contract, it would be those 2 guys. But even still, I probably wouldn't do that because eventually they're going to get old. They might get lackadaisical, just like Joe Paterno. I heard Joe Paterno's last couple of years, he didn't know what the heck he was doing. He didn't know. He was showing up on the wrong sideline for the teams. He didn't know what he was doing. It's mostly his assistants. So to put all your eggs in one basket, I just don't see it happening. And if you do something like that, that coach better have multiple rings. And his program is still doing great. Like, again, a Bill Belichick or probably a Greg Popovich or maybe the head coach for Alabama. I forgot his name. That just been wrecking shop. So something like that. But let's keep going.
Religiously going to the NCAA tournament, going to Final Four. The man is a highly, highly successful coach, one of the elite coaches ever in the history of college basketball. We get that. I'm talking about overall the issue of a lifetime contract. For when you sit in a position where you get to hold people accountable every day, if they don't produce, you know what? I'm sorry. It don't matter what you did last year. What have you done for me lately? I'm saying.
Exactly, Stephen A. Exactly. Like I said, people want to sign him to a lifetime contract because of everything he's done in the past, which is he's one of the best basketball coaches of all time. But I bet you the sports world is unforgiving. Give it 1 or 2 terrible years for Kentucky, and those alumni will be calling for his head. Those Kentucky fans will be calling for his head. 1 or 2 seasons. The sports world is unforgiving, and they always want to win, especially if they're used to it. So giving him a lifetime contract, I don't know. That's kind of risky. That's kind of risky because you don't know what can happen in the future. So let's keep going.
And how come that should not apply to coaches?
Here's the deal, Stephen A. First of all, John Thompson, he's the Georgetown coach emeritus. He's on a lifetime contract. Jim Calhoun.
Come on, coach.
Come on, Jim
his son was coaching the team, coach.
He left UConn.
Come on, coach. You know what I'm saying.
He had the same kind of deal. Look, this is a very unique situation. This isn't for everyone. But you know what? John Calipari is not for everyone. He's not everyone.
I agree.
He's a unique coach. You know what? You go outside the box. You do extraordinary things for extraordinary people. And John Calipari, he is different. He has proven he is different. And if you're Kentucky, let me ask you something. It's easier to afford to pay John Calipari
deserves it.
And give him that contract than if he leaves and have to replace him.
Coach. If anybody deserves it, he does. I get it. I'm talking about the premise of a lifetime. It don't matter what you do for the rest of your career, John Calipari. You're staying. It doesn't matter what you do for the rest of your career. Coach can't even do.
Exactly. He's going to stay no matter what. That's what I'm saying. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep signing him to every 5 years or whatever his contract is. Every 5 years, just keep renewing it. It's no problem. But to have that lifetime contract, you just never know. Because like I said, people start acting different when they know they can't get fired. Like I said, with the football players, baseball players, and all these other players, they play their butt off during their contract year. But when they just signed a contract for 5 or 6 years, those first couple of years, they're not exactly worried about playing as hard as maybe they should be playing, knowing that they have a contract year and they need to put up some numbers. Now, I'm not saying Coach Calipari would do anything like that, but, don't open the doors of opportunity to do something like that. So let's keep going.
Coach,
he's
not
that's
all I'm saying.
Stephen
It doesn't matter.
Coach, Stephen A.,
by the way, you're
saying,
so fired up, your hand just hit Max in the face.
That's right.
But here's the deal. You know Cal. I mean, Max, you don't know John as well as Stephen A. does. He's a lifelong friend of mine. If he's not producing, let's
he'd leave. He'd quit.
He would be out the door.
But
But you don't know that, though. And especially if he's locked down with the contract, he won't be able to just quit. I know he can do whatever he wants, but he'd have to pay that money back. But you don't know that. He may not just be win 1 year and then next year completely, I don't care about the program, I don't want to do this anymore. Gradually, over time, over the years, he might gradually lose his passion. He might be getting too old. He might not be making adjustments to the way college basketball is being played over time. And that could prevent your teams from progressing. It could prevent them from producing dynasties. You never know how his drive might taper off over the years. You just never know, because being the head college basketball coach for Kentucky, that's a lot of pressure, and he may not want to deal with that for the rest of his life. So let's keep going.
Talking about him.
He will produce.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about any lifetime contract.
When you talk about that, are you saying, like, there's some people who are internally motivated, right? You think the contract's going to change the way Calipari?
No, Max. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not. Y'all are getting to me because I'm not talking. It's not about Calipari. I'm talking about the issue of a lifetime contract for anybody. Anybody.
You don't have one of those?
You don't have. Hell no. Hell no. I got two.
So look at another good example. Look at John Gruden. So now he's the head coach for the Oakland Raiders. He just signed a 10-year contract. And what did he immediately do? He got one of the best linebackers in the league, Khalil Mack. He went to the Bears. And he got rid of, who else was there? Oh, God, who did Oakland get rid of? Amari Cooper. I think, he got rid of Amari Cooper. Another great wide receiver. So he's not worried about making changes and having the team be bad. Obviously, he's going to try to rebuild, but those type of things right there look like a mistake when he first did it. And it still kind of looks like a mistake, because who's he going to get to replace Khalil Mack or Amari Cooper? Who's going to do to replace that in the draft? So it's just little things like that can add up, especially if somebody, they know they can't get fired. That's just doing too much. Like I said, with Chucky, 10 years with Oakland Raiders, that's a long time. He's not worried about anything. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
Years to go. Okay.
You know why?
No way.
You know why people don't have lifetime contracts, Stephen A? A lot of them, it would be in the best interest of the team. They believe they'll be worth more in the future. Why give those rights away a couple years
I'm just saying that if you're in a position to hold.
And as far as the money, Max, you think it's good for the team because the team might be worth more in the future and they're paying the coach less at a set rate, even though the team might make more money. But obviously, he's probably going to put in that contract inflation, So for 1 year, $1 million is a huge contract. And over the next 10 years, it should probably inflate over to $2 million. You have to account for inflation. I hope they would do that. I would put that in my contract. So that shouldn't be an issue. But let's keep going.
People accountable. Get the job done or else. Why should you reach a point where you're absolved from that responsibility? No matter who you are. That's all I'm saying. Not Calipari. Anybody.
When Magic Johnson, as I said,
I didn't think he deserved it, Max.
You're right. He deserved much
they
more
would've
than
got him
$1 million.
And I would also say, like I said, I know I used Bill Belichick as an example before, but Bill Belichick last year, he made some kind of wrong moves, because didn't he think about getting or cutting Rob Gronkowski? That was an issue last year. And him and Tom Brady kind of got in it too last year, and I think a little bit the year before that. So some people were starting to think, is Bill Belichick making some wrong moves? Is there something going on here? So to have something like that, and you have to have him have a lifetime contract, that could creep up. That could start problems that you don't want to be dealing with. Like I said, Belichick is a great coach, and if anybody deserves a lifetime contract, it'd be him for everything he did. But you never know. He could start making moves that he's being stubborn and hard-headed and doesn't want to make adjustments for, and it just could turn out bad. It could just turn out real bad. You always want to leave yourself a way out as a team for a contract. So, I don't know. But let's just keep going.
I'm just talking about the premise of a 25-year deal or a lifetime contract.
But when you say you don't think Magic deserved it, when you have a Magic Johnson, you do not need to worry about, well, what if we need to hold him accountable? Magic hold himself accountable.
I got news for y'all, Coach. Based on what y'all saying, I guess I should. ESPN need to talk to me about a lifetime contract.
You would sign a lifetime contract?
Hell no.
Let me represent you. Here's the deal.
Not lifetime.
Right.
Here's
Stephen A., if they offered you a lifetime contract, you would sign it. If they told you we're going to give you $300 million to have ESPN tattooed on your forehead, you would do it. Especially with the hairline you got, you'd have no problem tattooing anything darker put up there. So stop acting like you wouldn't sign a lifetime contract for $500 million, $500 million. All day, every day you would sign that. I know I would. So let's keep going.
And they wouldn't offer it.
All right.
Go ahead, Coach.
Here's the deal. John Calipari doesn't need a lifetime contract, but Kentucky needs John Calipari. And what I'm saying is, it's not like John Calipari's short in the pocket. It's not like John Calipari needs that paycheck to retire. It's not like John Calipari's not making $9 million a year right now. It's not like Kentucky doesn't want him to be their coach the next 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So why is Kentucky giving him this lifetime contract? They're giving, in this particular case, they're giving this lifetime contract to show how much they appreciate him, want him, and you know what? Who's going to be a better ambassador for Kentucky?
Oh.
So they're showing how much they appreciate him, excuse me, and everything that he's done. But I tell you, the sports world is unforgiving, and so are alumni. Give it 1, 2, or 3 bad years, and Kentucky's in the dumps. They will be calling for his head, his resignation so quick, you couldn't even believe it. They couldn't even believe it. And since when are teams so giving, excuse me, that they'll give somebody a lifetime contract for everything that they've done? But you got NFL quarterbacks like Joe Montana, arguably the best quarterback. He got traded. They didn't give him a lifetime contract. He went to Kansas. Jerry Rice went to Oakland. All these guys did all these excellent things. Nobody got a lifetime contract. So all of a sudden now in basketball, college basketball, they want to give Calipari a lifetime contract because everything he's done in the past? I don't know. That's kind of weird. And I didn't mean to jump onto another sports, but I'm just using examples. So let's keep going. This video is almost over.
John Calipari.
I'm not questioning that,
more
Coach.
than they'll pay him.
You still have not answered my question. Why don't you take
I think you should at least get a 6-month extension.
How about that? 6 months? I appreciate it, Coach. I'm so touched. Hey, man, I'm lucky if I get
Coach,
that.
I have one question.
All I'm trying to say to you, Coach, is you're ignoring it. It's not about Calipari. No, a lifetime contract. How come you